Yeah, I want to talk about some of the misconceptions that some people might have about businesses and like, startup ventures and things like that. A lot of times people, they get into a business, they think, they just got to get a whole bunch of money together and they could start a business or whatever, and they got a plan and this is how it's going to work. But basically, that may not be the right formula. Now, one of the shrewdest things to do when people start a business is use the principle of OPM. That's, it's like a joke. OPM, principle of OPM, other people's money. I got an idea, I just need a lot of capital. I need a partner, that kind of garbage. To tell you the truth, there's a lot of people that do that shit, and they do that at the highest levels. They're like, it's funny, to tell you the truth. It's actually funny, because, you almost think people are higher levels and more money or more sophisticated than that, but they're actually not. Just as bad as anybody on the street corner, trying to scam and hustle, but, that's just how it is. But, I want to point out something else. A lot of people were critical of this Chris Duane guy, and I don't really know too much about him, but now I'm digging in a little more. It looks like I'd say the Mint pretty much screwed him over, but I would almost guess he's going to make good on things eventually. I mean, it's screwed up, but it ain't nothing he could do about it, right? It's my guess. I'm not working for the guy or nothing like that, so I ain't freaking taking up for him in any way. I'm just saying this is like a straight up opinion. I got it. That's what I kind of figure with it. Now, as far as like the principle of buying silver to save yourself financially, there may be some truth to that. I mean, it's not just a speculative bet. Like the U.S. has $16 trillion worth of debt. It's going up. And one thing a lot of people probably don't realize is that most of the debt is held domestically by large banks, insurance companies, and financial institutions. So if they default on a debt, those assets for these large financial institutions hold are going to go to zero. So what that means? It ain't like China's going to be so mad. It's going to be like the guys inside of our country are going to be screwed up. Some of the largest banks and financial institutions and insurance companies are the largest holders of U.S. debt. So if the government defaults on the debt, we get a major problem. I don't know what's going to happen there. It seems like, I don't know if I should say the word seems like. It seems like it's in a mathematical certainty that they're going to default on a debt sooner or later. They're going to have to, and it's coming up sooner than later. You've been hearing it for years. Now, that's one reason silver's probably a good bet, and it's physical silver's a good bet. Now, as far as like saying things about businesses and your daddy helped you with your business or whatever, things like that, people were talking about this guy Chris Duane. I'm like, a used car salesman. Yeah, that's usually one of those things like, you're a doctor or a lawyer and a used car salesman. That's one of those professions the public has a bad perception of. But, hey, really think about it. Used cars are cheaper than new ones, and they still got a lot of life in them, so it's not like it's a bad thing necessarily, right? But, even like, say, Chris Duane, or just say, forget him, forget about his name. Say somebody, the father had a used car business that was going along, it was doing great, and then the son comes in, and he's got the business. Well, the thing is, that business is not going to just go on its own autopilot. Actually, it requires a lot of dedication of people in the company itself. Usually there's like a corporate culture, and it's almost like, it's almost like a religious thing practically. It's almost like you're really dedicated to what you're doing because you believe in it. Maybe you really think, this used car place is the best thing in the world. We offer really great product and all this type of stuff, and we check all our vehicles for reliability. We have good customer service, and we're providing a very good service for a fair price. So a lot of times that's what, a lot of times people get into that, and they will do extra. And when they do extra, it keeps the company going. A lot of times companies are not like so super smooth running when you really dig down. And a lot of times personality and the one that can provide the corporate culture and spirit has a lot to do with how well something can go. because the difference between success and failure in a company actually is a very small line. It's like when people want to do a little bit more for the place because they like the guy that's running it. And that could be like, say, the father to the son. Maybe the son isn't liked as much as the father, and guess what? That'll be a problem. That'll be a problem. But it's like if you had used car sales in 2012. Well, guess what? That's 2012. That's history. 2013 is a whole new year. So it's like you're going to have to drive the sales force. You're going to have to provide the customer service, the feedback to all the people, provide whatever the heck you have to do to provide to make a good product go out to people at a fair price and make sure they're happy and satisfied with it. That's all new stuff in 2013. So it's like the guy. If you're handed a business, you still have to be the driving force behind the business. There's absolutely no question about it. So actually, in a way, you're really not. You're going to have to do it all on your own again. I mean, it's a nice help that's established, but it'll fall apart quickly if you don't provide enough driving force behind it. Now, I'm going to give you an example, like Leonard Stern in New York City area. He's like a multi-billionaire. I don't know, maybe he's more than he's probably got more than what they list on Forbes, I'd imagine. But he got the business basically from Hart's Mountain, which was pet products way back. It still exists, but Stern family is basically in real estate, construction, and leasing and that type commercial properties. The business actually changed, but he got he basically started in business from his father, Max Stern, but he built the business a hell of a lot more than his father did. I mean, it's like you say that because his father was doing well in business before him. That's the only reason he was able to do what he did. Now, he was the driving force behind it, and now you have Manuel Stern and Eddie Stern, who are, the new people in Hart's that are going to be pushing the business forward. So, I mean, basically, there's no such thing as anybody being handed a business because it's a whole new ball game. Like, if you built out all these projects, that's history. If those projects were successful, that's great. That's history. You got new projects ahead. If you sold all these used cars back in 2012, 2011, 2010, well, it's 2013. And those buyers aren't going to be in the market for buying another used car unless the car you sold them was no good, and they're not going to come back to you. So, I mean, if you sold them a really good used car back in 2012, 2011, or 2010, they still got it, and they're still going to keep it. So you got to look for new customers. So there's no such thing as being handed a business. You got to keep making it go. Now, actually, I want to say this. A lot of times people don't realize that in a corporate culture, like even in, say, New York, New Jersey area, there's a dedicated corporate culture. A lot of times people don't realize, J.P. Morgan, I say, is evil. Because Max Kaiser tells us J.P. Morgan's evil. But, sometimes it's not that way because there's tunnel vision. Basically, sometimes people are just tasked with a mission to get as many mortgages out there as they possibly can to people or whatever. Make sure these people are qualified. Because people want homes. It's our job to make sure they can get in a home. And then something happens. Sometimes these people at certain levels that they're doing their job very dedicated, in a very dedicated manner, they don't see the big picture and something else happens. So it doesn't necessarily make all those people evil. And actually the big picture sometimes is not really known by even anybody. Because the best of the best get screwed up sometimes by the big picture. In other words, how many times have we seen, like when people thought they were on top of the world, everything went upside down. It happened in the real estate market. Hey, it happened in the silver market too, right? I mean, Chris Duane, probably if silver went up to $35, $40, there'd been no problem, and everybody would be calling him a hero right now. But I noticed something, because this is one thing I kind of realized. There's a lot of very mean, spiteful people out there. I mean, I don't think this guy's. I'm not speaking for him or nothing, but I don't think this guy's going to really screw people up and take their money and walk away. And I think he'll make good on his stuff. That's my opinion, my guess on it. But I see when they're getting really down on this guy, it's almost like spiteful jealousy. I almost say that too. They don't like it. Now, the one thing I don't like about some of the silver people is that they're telling people, like, your only safety is physical silver. Well, that's bullshit. It's not a bad bet at all, but it's not your only safety. Crap. I mean, I can't imagine all these people that, all these wealth, and these people are just pushing silver like they're smarter than all the smartest wealthy people in the world. Like, right. It's not your only safety, but it's probably a very, very good bet. That's really what it comes down to. I think there's going to be a panic into the metal when, well, basically, if there's a default on the debt, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of financial collapses, a lot of stuff on paper is going to go under, and I don't know how the hell they can bail it out. If the government itself defaulted, what would happen? I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of dedicated people in the government and in the financial world, but they might not be able to put this damn thing back together too easy, and a lot of people are probably looking around for a safety, and they're probably going to run to silver, and silver's going to go up, 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 because there's more people going to be piling into it, and the more it goes up, the more people will say, hey, it's going up, let's get in there. So I think it's going to do pretty damn good. But I just want to point out, though, with people who run a business, a lot of times, I don't know, they're the best... You're the best bullshit artist in the world, to tell you the truth. A lot of them are. It's like, the bank could be like ready to foreclose on them or some shit, and they're like acting like no problem, and they'll just find another bank or something. That kind of shit. They act like that, And, best, it's almost like everything actually does go right by the wire. I mean, it's very close. It's not much difference between success and failure. Actually, I guess after a business is established a long time, it doesn't go down as easy. But it will go down pretty damn fast if you don't have the right driving force and the right leadership in it. It will. That's why there's no such thing as anybody being able to just say, here's the business, son, go for it. It doesn't work like that. It's like a whole new set of parameters, customers, new stuff going to be. It's like what happened in history, that's history. That's history. So it's a whole new set of challenges all the time. There's no such thing as anybody being able to just hand a business to somebody, because it's an ongoing game. It's so many times that a business actually could be very successful, but it had like so many close calls over the years. But nobody knows about those close calls because that's all private information. So that's really what goes on. That's really what goes on from what I see. There's always like, they could be the biggest, the deepest pockets, man. Every time I hear that shit, it's usually bad news, because usually when they say, yeah, they got deep pockets, that means they're wasteful. That's what I say. That's what it means to me. Actually, even speaking of somebody who's not wasteful, if you look at Leonard Stern, I remember the reason I thought of him is because he had an article on Business Insider about him selling his apartment. And I think he originally bought it for like $12 million. He wants to sell it for $16 million. And, they're saying all this stuff about it's really nice. It's got marble in it and it's a little pretty and all this. But you think about it, that's not a very expensive apartment at all compared to his wealth. Because take off the zero, say he's worth $3.5 billion. Let's take off 3 zeros, say it's $3.5 million. That would be like, instead of a $16 million apartment, or say it's a $12 million apartment, it'd be like a $12,000 apartment compared to your wealth of $3.5 million. Just to put it in relative perspective. So actually, the guy's pretty, he's keeping the cost down, isn't he? A lot of people don't realize that. They just look at 16 million or 12 million cost at 16 million sales price now. Wow, wow, wow. But actually, compared to his wealth, it's a pretty low ball, isn't it? And that's exactly the way. That guy's smart. That guy's smart. He's very smart. He's good. He's good. He's no bullshitting around. And I got a lot of respect for that guy, despite what Brother Nathaniel says about him. That guy's I don't know where that deal is with that Brother Nathaniel. He's a load of it, man, big time. But I got a lot of respect for Leonard Stern. But you know, it's like Max Stern was in there. We came over to this country from Germany, and then Leonard Stern, you know, he took over the business. But he built the business much greater than his father did. It's not going to just run on autopilot. As a matter of fact, the business now has nothing to do with Hart's Pet Products. That's all gone. It's all Hart's Construction and Real Estate. So there's no such thing as somebody being able to hand somebody the business. It's like you got to keep going forward. You're running with a new set of parameters every year, a new set of challenges. That's just how it is. So, you know, and these people are saying, like with Chris Duane, his daddy gave him they don't know. They don't know. It's a constant challenge. You can't give anybody anything, to tell you the truth. It's just the way it is. It really is.